The podcast is now arriving. Enjoy your time.
Hello and welcome back to the Wicket podcast. You're probably all confused right now. Don't worry, so are we. There's five of us. You're probably surprised. We'll start left, move our way across. Jack D, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right, mate. Bevan Bell, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
And making his first ever appearance on a Wicket form of content. You're probably a bit clueless. He is a ones player for Grovedale. He's played one game in the twos with us Ultimate Resis, but that is Nathan Vass. How you going, mate?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Keen to get stuck into it. Excited to be joining the Wicket train. Can't wait.
Keen to have you. And featuring in his first podcast ever to date, and he's been here a while, we have Josh Deggs the Goldie. How you going, mate?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Today's seen as follows. Obviously, with the week of AFL coming up, we're going to give a rundown of who we think's going to take away games, starting with the Suns and the Cats. And we're going to start with the heavy hitter first. Nathan Vass, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, gonna be a ripping contest Thursday night up in Darwin. I've actually gone with Geelong here. I'm expecting them to bounce back. Look, they've lost two close games in a row. One against Melbourne, one against Port. That Port game, was a bit of a shock. I reckon a lot of people would have definitely had Geelong as the favourites in that one. Credit to Port, they outworked them, they outplayed them, and outsmarted them in the end. I thought McEntee was really good. Shut down Tom Stewart, and yeah, just Port Adelaide, credit to them, just really good. But I don't see Geelong losing three in a row. Um, I think Gold Coast have been playing really good footy, but you know, just Geelong, man, they're a powerhouse of a team. Even without Hawkins and Cameron, I I reckon they'll still get over the line. It's going to be a bit of a sluggish game, but I reckon Geelong are just too slick at the moment, and I'm going to back in the Cats by 15 points.
Die-hard Geelong supporter. Josh, how you feeling?
Oh, I feel confident. Like every week, I feel confident. But I don't know. Last week was a bit of a shock. Like coming home from work, and I just see the scores. It's a bit shit. But we'll move on. Bounce back. Get a win.
I'll give my thoughts because none of the other two want to talk and take ownership and just start speaking. In my notes, I have the Cats. How do I feel about that? Pretty confident. I think Geelong with Sydney and probably GWS, Melbourne, probably the top four teams in the comp. I know Bevan Bell was happy to hear Melbourne get put up there. Um, Darwin brings an interesting challenge, obviously, with not many games of footy played there. I know Gold Coast played there against North or will play there. I think it adds the challenge of the heat and the bit of moisture in the air. We saw how Geelong played when it was wet up at Brisbane. They were a bit sluggish early, but adapted fast, and I reckon the Cats should see no struggle here, unless they can't get anything forward with Cameron and Hawkins. I mean, we'll see how it is. Suns are playing decent footy. We have to credit that. I think there's a massive turnaround for the Gold Coast Suns, and they're turning the season around on a hard week. So if they can beat the Cats, I think that'll be their best win for the whole year.
Yeah, I'll go. I've got the Cats winning. You two have basically covered everything. I was at the game on Friday when they lost to Port, and it was quite a scrappy game. I was with Vass and we were watching it. Had a bit of fun, didn't we, Vass? Um, but yeah,
What do you want to
anyways.
expect now?
Yeah. I'm tipping Cats by 13.
Um, I'll go. So I've got Geelong winning 68 to 83. I feel like we'll benefit with a little small forward line, quick, get some run on it, and then Geelong have proved that we have really good run off the half back. So if we can take that into the forward line, good game.
Well said.
The inside knowledge that they run off half back. Can you please name me a player that's good with running the ball for half back?
It's
Me.
not from the half back, but Max Holmes works up and down the wing really well. That's
He's done
good.
wonders for my Supercoach last week.
Yep.
Gun.
Oh, don't get Vass started about Supercoach
I get
or
him right up.
oh
Might have a fair bit to comment about that.
yeah, he's
Actually,
he's
speaking
he's
of,
the Supercoach guru at school. He
Yeah,
Vass,
look,
fixes everyone's.
Supercoach is looking pretty good at the moment. Can't lie.
what's the trades this week, Vass?
Bought in Tom Green. That might be a bit of a take, but I've traded him out. I think I've traded him out for Matt Roberts. So, look, I reckon that was a pretty good trade from me. And otherwise, kept the rest of me players. So that's about it. Can't cover too much else.
Solid. The second game of the round is probably an interesting one. I reckon it would be my take's very one-sided. I'd like to hear other people. We do have the Carlton Blues venturing up north to play the Sydney Swans at the SCG. What are the thoughts?
I'll go first. I've got Carlton winning it. Yeah, I just feel like Carlton are on a winning streak at the moment. Swans, I don't feel like they've been playing the best footy they can. Um, but Carlton, I reckon Carlton will win it
Sorry, aren't they top of the ladder, Sydney?
still. But I
You
don't
reckon
like.
they can get?
Oh, I reckon Sydney's percentage says otherwise.
You
No,
reckon the Swans can get better?
yeah,
That's a big
I do.
call.
From
Yeah,
what
right.
I've from what I've seen, they're not playing the best brand of footy they have been playing before. Like, give the year they were in the grand final versus the Cats. They were playing a better brand of footy than what they are now, in my opinion. But yeah,
That is a hot take and a
That's
half.
a
that,
big,
that
that's a
is
big
that is
take.
a hot take.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a hot take. Well,
How
I'll
big
jump
facts
in
it?
next. I got Sydney by 30 points, 5 goals. Just look across the board. There's just no missing link, in my opinion, in that Sydney team. They just look well drilled, and they are just sitting comfortably on top of the ladder. It's going to be really hard to have a team to come up and beat them, especially at the SCG. I think their fucking winning margin sits at about 43 points or something, and right now they're sitting in premiership window. So, not trying to discredit Carlton, but to nearly lose against Melbourne last week when they were smashing them. Melbourne didn't score in that first quarter. And to
Melbourne's
nearly,
just a top team though. They're just a
yeah, but
they're just a
but
class team.
to nearly choke that much of a lead, I think it was. Can't even remember how much I were up by. I think it was 36 or something. Can't
Yeah, it
remember,
was
but
around the 40 mark.
yeah, 40 marks, something like that. Like to nearly choke. I don't trust Carlton, to be honest. I'm not big on the Blues. That might be a hot take, but yeah, Sydney by 30 for me.
Don't tell Suggy that one. Oh,
Yeah, I'll go
Really get
next.
soaked.
I'll go next. I've got Sydney winning by 20 points. Again, I'm not the biggest Carlton fan in the world, but I just think Sydney across the board, they're way too stacked. They've got a class midfield. They've got good runners off the half back like Nick Blakey. They've got a really good forward line. So I think they can get up by 20.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I actually agree with Bevan. I think the Blues actually have a win. I just think the Swans are due for a loss. Like some of their home turf as well, but I just think they're due for a loss. Like I don't know. I don't rate them that highly. I just don't see them as the premiership favourites. But could be a bias thing. I don't see the Cats as a premiership favourites either. But like I just don't see them being right up there and like winning like 20 games in a year and just acing the finals. I just don't see that. But I just think the Blues they compete everywhere. They're competitive. You've got the best defender in the league. I think they're all round good team.
Yeah, right. So my vote splits the middle here. Um, I was sold on this would be an easy decision. It's the Swans for me. I think when you this what are they 9-0 maybe 9-1 I don't know, but they're up.
uh-huh.
They won 9 games. They're clear top since Geelong lost, and there's not a thing wrong with that Sydney team. I think you got Papley. Heaney's was playing Brownlow Heaney stuff. Grundy's finding his feet at a new club, as we expected. And I think you guys think Adams is playing from. I think you got Gordon's playing good footy. It's a good team, and it's a team we expect to perform. And it's a standard stuff for Sydney. The difference will be, can Curnow and Mackay combine for 10 each? Or probably be extreme, but can they get a bag of goals each? That will be the difference. If they don't perform, there's no one else in that Carlton forward line kicking multiple goals. I'm sorry to brag it to you. But if they do, then it's just over, I think, for Sydney. If Carlton get on top with their big forwards, I think with Cripps, Chera, if he's playing, probably I think he's playing, Walsh, I think that midfield can deliver the ball so well to their key forwards that once they're on, and it's just no stopping them. But game number 3 is going to be played against Magpies and the Adelaide Crows. What are you feeling?
Oh, I'd like to go first on this one. I've got Collingwood winning by 30. They haven't been playing their best brand of footy this year, but I think if they can get up this week, that sets them up for a really big season. Again, you look around, they've got a stacked midfield. They've got Pendlebury's always been great. They've got the Dacos boys in there. No, they're just too good. Yeah.
Short and sweep. All right.
Yeah. Well, don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah, well, I might as well take it next. I've got Collingwood by 18. Just feel like they're starting to get back into that really good form that got them the premiership in 2023 last year. As Talbot said, you look around at their midfield, it's absolutely stacked. Dacos, Pendlebury, DeGoey. Like, they just got a really top-class midfield. And their backline, Darcy Moore, he's probably, in my opinion, the best captain in the league. He just leads from the front and does an exceptional job. And you got all the other not midfielders, all the other backmen behind him as well, like Quainer. They're just too good. And in front of a home crowd at the G, I just reckon they'll be too strong for Adelaide. I do expect Adelaide to show up, though. I think they're starting to find some good form. And I reckon it'll be a good contest for Collingwood to kick away in the end and win by 18.
Yeah, I'm with Vass there. I reckon Collingwood by around 20. Yeah, as Vass said, they're just getting into the form that they were last year, winning all those games. And I feel like purely because it is at the G, I feel like Adelaide won't show up to their standard. They won't play their best brand of footy. And I think Collingwood will capitalise on that.
Yeah. Look, I think the last few times Adelaide have gone to the G against Collingwood, it's always been pretty close. I think it's going to be no different. Yeah, I think Collingwood will just win by like under a goal, but look, it's going to be close. I think it'll be a close game. Good side.
I mean, yeah, can't really tell too much more there. I think we're all going to sit here. The Magpies are just too strong. Was the premiership hangover a thing? I'm going to say yes, it was. Most definitely was. If you're sitting here saying it wasn't, then you're delusional. You didn't want to find the facts. But I think here, Collingwood are slowly finding their feet again. They don't have much of a premiership window left with Pendlebury, side bottom, probably on their way. If it's time to win, it's time to now. I think they've got to put the Magpies away by at least 20 odd, 20 plus to be, yeah, they're back. I still have them winning. I think between 15 and 20, but if they can get up by 20 plus, they're back. Obviously, you can't stop Nick Dacos unless you tag him. But then you're tagging a half backer and you're wasting a player.
Yeah.
Josh Dacos on his day can get going. I think, yeah, it's just Bobby Hill can kick it back. I think it's good all round for them. There's not one that always just stars. It's a solid group all round.
And I think as well, like guys coming in like Lockie Sullivan and Joe Richards as well, they've really filled the holes for Elliott, Mychek, and they've just really stood up, and it's been really good to see.
Yeah, I think especially the rookies, you got to think like McRae as well hasn't played a handful of games, but he's shown well. Yeah, Sullivan the last 2 weeks have shown well. Craig McRae is probably one of the coaches of the last probably 5 years, probably one of the best coaches of the last 5 years. I'll come out and say. Maybe you could argue longer, but he hasn't been at Collingwood long enough. if he can bring 2 more flags to Collingwood, he could definitely be coach of the this century from 2000 onwards. That's my thoughts on Craig McKay, and we move to the 4th game, which is a tale of 2 stories here. We got the GWS Giants and the Western Bulldogs.
I'll go first with it.
Take it away, thanks.
I think last week's Dogs performance was it was good, but you look at the Tigers, I couldn't name half their list or their playing group at the moment. I just think, except you have Dusty there, but it's not a one-man side. But look, the Doggies are stacked all round. They've got the best ruckman in the league, you'd say, with Gawn. You have the best midfielder in the league, Bontempelli, and I just think the Giants should overrun them. They just never seem to show up. But I just don't think they're a class side. So, and I'm watching the Giants a few weeks ago against the Lions. It was the most exciting half an hour of footy I've ever watched in my whole life. So, Giants comfortably.
I just think I don't know how if you've got a Bulldogs membership, you're sitting back enjoying. No, yeah, you sit back and enjoying football. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a membership card, it's already in the bin. It's hard to watch football. To go down to the Hawks, to beat St Kilda comfortably, it makes no sense as a supporter. And yeah, at the start of the year, their list was a bit mangled. They brought their list back to McRae's back in, and they beat St Kilda. But they went down to Hawthorn, who are one of the worst teams in the last 3 years with North and West Coast. And it's that's a team you got to put away for the Western Bulldogs. Now, it'll be a lot of talk, obviously, with them post-season, what happens. But I've got the Giants here. Giants are playing great footy. They're playing off last year again when they lost in the finals. And I think they've got the talent to go again.
Yeah, I'll go. I'll go. No, I'd have to agree with you, boys. I reckon GWS are going to get up. Dogs haven't been playing the best footy this season. I think, again, you look around the GWS list, there's some great players in there, obviously, but I feel like they have a couple of really good match winners in that team who can just get them over the line in the end. So I've got GWS by 26.
Yeah, I've got GWS by about 15. I reckon they'll win pretty comfortably. To be honest, I don't know much about GWS or Bulldogs. I don't really pay much attention to them. But as you boys said, obviously Bulldogs not in the best form, so I reckon GWS will take it.
Yeah, I've got the Giants as well. I've got them by 36 points. Even though it's been a bit of a flat month for GWS, they've dropped 3 of their last 4 games. They're still one of the best teams in the competition, in my opinion. And the Dogs, they're so hard to read this year. They've been very poor against good opposition, and they've been really good against really bad opposition. They haven't had a really big scalp. Their biggest scalp was probably Gold Coast, but then again, they're probably 10th, 8th, probably not even in the top 6. You wouldn't think, but yeah, I haven't seen too much from the Dogs to really trust them at all, and I just think JWS will bounce back and get a good win.
I thought we had one more person. Never mind. Moving on, Saints and Fremantle.
I would love to go first because I've been very vocal on St Kilda this year. I have been up their arse all year. They are playing such boring and dull football that I don't watch any St Kilda games anymore. I don't trust this team. I don't think they've been able to score I think they've only scored over 100 once, and that was against North Melbourne. They are such a defensive team, but when you go up forward, there's almost little to no score. I think what was it, 53 points against Hawthorn. That's very disappointing, honestly. You just look at St Kilda, I don't see anything from them like I did last year. Last year, I rated them very highly. I thought they were really good, but this year they have dropped and they've probably been the biggest slider, and it's been a real disappointment.
Yeah, I'd like to back up Vass on that one. I don't reckon St Kilda have been scoring much at all, so I've got them down as only scoring 68 points this week. I don't think they're going to get up much. And you saw last week, Fremantle had the amount of shots to win the game. They just kicked very poorly. So I think they should bounce back from that. Maybe if they can kick a few more goals, I reckon they'll get up against St Kilda. They just have no forward line presence.
Yeah, same as Vass. I've got Fremantle by about 28. As Vass said, St Kilda being a defensive team, yeah, defense helps quite a lot, but you've got to be able to get your goals and score, and not much you can do with a defensive team. Yeah.
Look, I think, as you boys were saying, if you kick goals, you win. So I guess that's true. Like, if you can kick straight and you got some bit of firepower up forward, like, I reckon ever since he's come into the AFL, I've never really rated Max King at all. Like, he takes a grab, he takes a big muck up forward, he'll miss a set shot, or he's just unreliable, I think. But
and he's very inconsistent, isn't he?
Max King is
very inconsistent.
No, I don't see him consistent at all. He has these good patches, but then he has his shit patches. He's all over the shop, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. But I'll speak on Fremantle a little bit. Like, Fremantle, I think I really rated them at the start of the year. I thought they were playing really good footy, beat a few good sides, but I feel like it's just kind of the same every year. Like, they just, a few good games, fall off a little bit. But, like, if you have Sarong getting 35 touches, like, teams got to shut that down. Like, yeah, you just got to put a tag on that, and just, like, I don't see much damage up forward. Like, and in the defense, they got like Lukey Ryan, and they've got a solid defense, I think, and they got a few real running halfbacks. They work hard, but yeah, I see Fremantle winning this by about 20 points.
So I'm the odd one out here. I'm back in St Kilda.
Big call.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Can I ask something? Has St Kilda's list changed since last year?
Couldn't tell you. Could not tell you.
No.
They got a few good draft picks in, like, Darcy Wilson. He's been all right to start the season, but not a lot has changed.
Not what I wanted. I want to have a look at this. So, I don't think Fremantle's that good. Out of all due respect, I know it's a big call. I know neither teams are that great. Looking at it, Fremantle in ninth. They're 5-4. I don't think they're that good. They lost to Sydney by 50. They bet Richmond by 50. They only bet the Bulldogs by 20 odd. They lost to Port by 3. They lost to West Coast by 40, and this is my issue. They lost to Carlton by about 10. They bet Adelaide. They bet Brisbane. They bet North. They bet all the normal teams. They lost to Port again, like last year. Like, it's not bad if you're a Fremantle supporter. I just think there's a bit missing still. I know it looks Oregon and Glory. You got Sarong. You got Hayden Young, Luke Ryan. It looks good. I just don't think they're capable of playing consistent football is my issue. Yes, St Kilda's not that great, but I reckon at the G, St Kilda looking to bounce. Fremantle don't tend to play that well away. Historically, they're not a top 8 team in my opinion. They're probably, well, if they are, they're 8th and 7th. I don't see why St Kilda can't get up here, and beg the question again: that is Fremantle good enough? Is my take.
What do you reckon they're missing, Levi? Like, what if there was one player you could put in the Fremantle side and they'd get better? Who would it be?
I just don't think it's a play. I think it's just link up and just connection. It probably is a
Yeah.
big forward.
Like,
The only big forward at the moment is probably Jackson.
yeah,
Darcy can't get
Yeah.
fit to save himself, so he's not playing as a main ruck. So then Jackson's playing as your main ruck. And I don't know about you boys, but could you name me a big forward in that Fremantle team?
Yeah.
It's like yeah, I think Jai Miss comes to mind, but then again, he's not really.
He's
I'd
not a
argue he's not
big presence.
he's not like a Dustin Martin or Tom
Nah,
Hawkins, Jez Cameron. He's not like on those lines. And that's what Fremantle are missing. They've got the defense. They've got Luke Ryan, who's dominating. Hayden Young plays off a halfback mid. Who's the forward when Darcy's out and Jackson has to play majority ruck? That's the next step.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Next game of the round is here we go. Lions Tigers.
yep. I'll start. I've probably got a big margin here. I've got Brisbane winning by 92 points.
Ooh.
Richmond are struggling. They are struggling, and this is a game where I could see Brisbane really getting some confidence back home at the Gabba against a Tigers side who's just absolutely bashed with injuries. You saw three. I think it was three. I think it was who was it? Sam Banks. Rioli went down. I think it was Jack Graham as well who went down. So they're just missing a lot, Richmond. And look, I don't reckon it would have changed if they had their best 22 on the field. I still reckon Brisbane will win at home. But if Richmond did have their best 22, I reckon maybe in the 30s, maybe low 20s. But Brisbane at home against a really bad Richmond side, I reckon it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I'm with Vass on that one. I've got them for about 70 odd, so I don't have the bigger margin as 90, 92 or whatever you had. But yeah, as you said, Richmond, they're not in good form at all at the moment. They've got however many injuries. As Dag said earlier, you can't name half their list because they're all just new young kids. And yeah, as Vass said, Lions will get heaps of confidence this week. And I just don't see them losing at the Kappa with that Richmond side.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I don't see the Tigers getting close. And, like, I guess it's good that the Tigers are giving the young kids a go, but you just gotta have a bit more experience. I get half the list is injured, but I don't know what you could do as a new Tigers coach. Like, you've been thrown in a shit position, and you're now having to coach like these kids that are just 10 games and under. It's just like it's hard to build on that because you're not getting you can't see your strengths when you're playing. So it's a bit like you're not learning anything, or you're just getting beat by 70 points. So it's just a bit shit. But the Lions are good. I think at their best, the Lions are a good team. Like at the start of the season, I had them as premiership favourites, but like if they had just come home like a steam train and just like at least make top four, maybe borderline top four, like I wouldn't put it past them to win the whole thing. Like I think they're a good side.
I'd agree with Degs there. I reckon Brisbane are still a top 4 or 5 team in the league, even though they haven't been performing this year. But it's just the Tigers side is so bad. They're playing their worst footy they've played in 8 years under a new coach, with most of their team playing under 30 games. It's really rough. And Vass said they're filled with injuries, so they just can't do anything. And I think Brisbane are going to run over them by about 54 points, to be honest. But I just don't reckon the Tigers have anything in them this week. I don't see Tigers putting up much of a fight either. And yeah, Brisbane are going to run away with it very comfortably.
I have to ask, are we watching the same Brisbane team play, or am I watching a different team? I'm watching a Brisbane team that hasn't changed its list. They've only lost Berry, who's now at Gold Coast, but he wasn't getting much of a game. I haven't seen much of this list change, yet they're still 13th.
Mm.
Let's have a round one, they lost to Carlton by a point. That's unlucky, round one. Losing to Fremantle, yeah, at Fremantle makes sense. But here, I mean, they beat Melbourne. They lost to Giants by 60. Lost to Geelong by 30 at their home turf. They'd never lose on their home turf. They lost to Collingwood on their home turf when Collingwood hasn't been playing that great. They drew against Adelaide. They didn't comprehensively beat Gold Coast. And they've got an easy run the next 2 weeks of Brisbane, Hawthorn, and the Dogs, and St Kilda, to be fair. I do back Brisbane to win this. I still don't see why Brisbane are struggling. I'd love for someone to answer me that, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon I could jump in there. I honestly think it might have been the grand final from last year. It's come so close, lose by 4 points. It really hurts, losing a grand final, getting so close, but just not getting it done. I reckon that would be a main factor in why they probably dropped off a bit. I think, up forward, I've looked into it a little bit. Danaher's looking off. Cameron's looking off. Eric Hipwood is looking absolutely shocking at the moment,
Eric
in my
Hipwood
opinion.
is terrible. Eric Hipwood
He
is the worst.
He is terrible.
Eric Hipwood, mark my word, he's the worst tall forward in the league.
I remember there was a time, like when he got drafted, they were comparing him to Buddy Franklin of all people. I don't know if any of you remember that, but they were comparing
He
him
is
to Buddy
horrible.
Franklin. He is no good. He has been shocking. And up forward, like they've lost Link McCarthy. He's an absolute gun. So that absolutely hurts. Fuck, here's the voice crack.
I heard that one.
Yeah. But no, they got. Yeah, you go.
okay, I'll finish it off. But I still think their midfield's probably you'd have to consider one of the top midfields. Well, they got Dunkley, Neil, and McCluggage plays off the half forward. Like he's a good target to hit. Who's the third midfielder?
Okay.
We've got half back a bit.
Cam Rayner comes in there from time to time as well.
Yeah.
And all you need is someone to support Neil and Dunkley anyway. So
yeah,
Mm.
like I said, up forward. Like if you saw on the weekend against Adelaide, Danaher burnt Charlie Cameron so many times, and when you see that, it kind of puts Charlie Cameron down, because when you see Charlie Cameron, he could have gone over the top to Danaher. I think it was late in the third quarter or so. He could have gone over to Danaher. Instead, he's gone to a 50-50 contest. I think that chemistry's just sort of broken down a little bit.
Mm.
I still see Brisbane winning, but I'm having a look at this Tigers injury list. And for the players I know that we're playing in their main team, you got Taranto, Lynch, Hopper, Grimes, Graham Gipkiss, Justin Clark, Liam Baker, and you consider Sam Banks. There's a few others that could be potential. You think Taranto's 4 weeks, he's a massive ball winner for that Tigers team. When he's playing his best footy, he's one of the best in the comp for disposal machines. Hopper's handy. You got Rowley Jr., who's going to be out for 8 weeks. There's a small forward going. He's playing right. Graham, Grimes. It's tough. Adam Huse has the hardest role in the AFL right now. I think Adam Simpson had it last year. Adam Huse has it this year. Because what do? You can't. I mean, you're losing games, but that's not because you're trying to lose games and get yourself a good job pick. It's because you got no one. And when people come back, they get injured straight away again. Hopper came back, got injured. I think there was someone else that got injured first week back. It's tough. It's tough out there. And Adam Huse has the worst role at the moment.
I'll see them as the new West Coast, in my opinion. They're just plagued with injuries. They just can't play good footy. They can't be competitive. And yeah, it doesn't look good for Richmond right now, in my opinion.
It is not the same team that people thought this dynasty was going to be. And you didn't even lose. You probably lost Cochrane at most. But you replaced Cochrane with Taranto. You brought in Hopper.
Even Raywalt. Like you still got Lynch. You got Bolter down there as well.
Where did I know the dynasty fell off its wheels, but not a lot changed. Hardwick lost his touch, and that's fair enough. But it's disappointing to see that this could have been a dynasty for the ages. They could have gone on, be strong for 10 years, win probably 3-4 flags. But I just couldn't capitalize, and I'd be fuming if I supported the Tigers right now.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, the dynasty's over. Like, I don't know if it's a big call. I think it's just the right call. Like, I just think it's over. Like, I guess the injuries haven't helped at all, but bringing in a new coach and all that. It's over.
Yeah,
I
agree
came
with
out,
that.
yeah.
Dynasty's over.
I came out 3 weeks ago and said it was over, and I'm sitting here going, it's dead. It's 6 feet under. It's Dynasty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree with that. It is officially 6 feet under, and it's done.
Probably the biggest margin we'll see this week is my early claim. Bombers North. Is
Am
it-
I starting with this? Or?
Yeah, Vass,
Is
you
there
start.
much? Is there much to talk about here, though? This is my opinion.
Yeah.
There is absolutely nothing to talk about. Essendon are winning this game. There is no hope for North Melbourne. I can't even give them the slightest bit of hope. Like they just look an absolute mess. Essendon have been absolutely flying. Not trying to glaze them because I support them, but you look ever since round 4 after they got smashed by Port Adelaide, they've just been improving all across the board. The midfield has just been flying, and Zach Merritt, Darcy Parish, Durham, Perkins, they're all just getting it done in there. Goldstein's been a really good inclusion as well. He's definitely going to help out while Draper's out injured. And then you look at their forward line, Langford, Stringer. There's just big names all around the ground down back, Nick Martin, Ben Mackay. It's just looking really good for Essendon, and I reckon it'll be an easy win against North Melbourne. So 66 points for me.
Ooh.
So, yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you. Go.
I'd like to go
Alright.
second.
there's definitely not much to talk about here. And I've seen Jack T write an absolute essay on here, so we'll let him speak.
I
I
have
reckon we're
written
all
this
going to be the.
down.
I reckon we're all going to be the
Alright.
same here.
This will
And
be
it's gonna
good. This will be good.
Bombers will win. I
I
reckon.
reckon-
I think we're all going to be the same.
This North season is one of the worst seasons of all time. They have been
Oh,
playing
thanks.
shocking every single game. You look at the fixture, you see North, and you can't not pick the other team.
Don't tell
There's
me
no-
on that one.
There is zero chance that North are winning this game. I've had a look at their last 6 games. They lost to Lions by 70, Geelong by 75, Hawks by 45, Crows by 57, Saints by 38, and Gold Coast by 68.
Big
I
big
just
one
don't
there
see-
for me. Big one there for me. Hawthorn by 45. Mate, Hawthorn aren't as bad as your North Melbournes, your West Coasts, your Richmonds, but they're not going to be anywhere above 14th. To lose to them by 45, it just really shows how poor North Melbourne have been so
It's
far.
very
this
poor.
season.
And you have three games there, well, 2 games there, over 70-point losses, and you have a 68-point loss to Gold Coast. There is no way that North Melbourne are going to win this game. I have got Essendon by 50.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Bevan Daggs. I think we're both in the same boat as these two.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you two this question: how long till Clarkson revives his team? Bevan and Daggs.
Oh, Degs, you can go first. I need some
All
time to think.
Look, I was watching an Instagram reel the other day, and it said, "Well, if you go winless in a season, how do you keep coach? Even though it is Clarko, how does that work?" But I think you have to keep him. You have to keep him for the long run. He's just going to get these players better. I just think,
Somehow.
I don't know. It's got to be against a Tigers where Dusty touch wood, but Dusty goes down with a concussion, or you've got to get lucky somewhere. There's got to be a game where,
Yeah, I'm with Degs on that one. I feel like you've got to keep him. Just because I feel like if you're just changing coaches every year, it's going to be hard for the players to gel and actually get to know your coach. So I feel like if you stick with them, and form some team chemistry and chemistry outside the AFL, I feel like it can really come into your games and make your game better.
I'm actually interested to ask a question, and this goes for everybody. How are we looking with Essendon this year? Where do we see Essendon? Because they've been absolutely
Yeah.
flying at the moment, but
Yeah.
in recent times, you do see that they do drop off after the bye, and they play. You saw last year in 2023, it was pathetic football after the bye. I think it was 2 or 3 wins, and it was just a shocking end. Does this Essendon team look different this year, and why?
I would say I do see them dropping off a little bit after the bye, but certainly not as much as last year. You've got Sam Durham. He's just improving every game. It looks like he's a gun this season so far. He's a really big change in their midfield, I feel like. So he's a real impact player, you know what I mean? I feel like they'll drop from third to about seventh, maybe. I still see them making finals, but I don't think they'll make a deep finals run.
Yeah, they'll definitely still be in the top 8, but I feel like if it's not this year, they'll go pretty far. I reckon it'll be within the next couple of years. They'll make the top 4 and possibly be in the grand final.
I've actually got a bit to talk about with Essendon. Like, I don't see what.
Oh, no, keep going.
Look, I see that Zach Merritt has stepped up. Like, I think Zach Merritt's probably the best player in the AFL right now.
Who?
Like, he's just stepped up, and like you saw him, Zach Merritt.
I'm just like, no, that bloke's he's a gun. And look, to be fair, what he won the Anzac medal, didn't he?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So you
Good
can look at
contest,
it. He's
Yeah, I've got like Zach Merritt. I think he's best player in the AFL right now. You saw him a few years ago as just like a little dinky handball now and then, but I think he's just like his impact on the game is like gone through the roof. Like it's just, but like a negative for Essendon. This is just my opinion, but I think Jake Stringer is like the most overrated player in the AFL right now. It's probably a big take, but I think every 4 games he only shows up one time, and that's just like it's like, oh well, pick this day on the calendar to like finally show up. Like he just pisses me off, and people like I don't know how you feel about it Vass, as an Essendon supporter, but I just think he's so overrated and like it pisses me off.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look, Stringer, when he's on, I think, and he plays really good footy. But that, to me, it's probably like every fortnight you see Stringer pop up and play really good. Like he was impactful against GWS, but he took about 3 marks, had about 3 set shots, and each time he sprayed the kicks, and they were directly in front. If you're going to be playing at AFL level with that much experience, you need to be going back and kicking those goals. Like, you know, he has his bursts in the midfield, and he has his patches here and there. But if he can string together consistent footy, you know, I would rate him a lot more than I do. I'll still rate him fairly, but I don't rate him as that really, really, really good footballer. I rate him probably a B minus for me.
Vass.
I feel like this season,
sorry.
Nick Martin has been so class this season. He's averaging 31 disposals with 21 kicks. It's exactly what you want. Honestly, running off the half back, he's been so class.
I want to ask something, and because we have one Essendon supporter here, which is Vass. I don't even know. I forget his name. You're the coach of Essendon. Brad Scott. Stringer is coming to the end of his contract this season. Are you re-signing him?
Go up. Sorry, fucking mic's cut off on the AirPods. So you have to switch up.
In my opinion. Do you want me to go, Vass?
Yeah, you go. I'll try and fix up my fucking sound.
In my opinion, I think every team needs a player like him. But I just think you need to see, like, I get he's at the end of his career, but almost getting there. I just think you need to see a bit of improvement and consistency from him. Like, I think every team
Dags.
needs to play like him. Like, you change your game so quickly. Shit.
Oh, no, Dags.
Lads, this is a bad time, but I'm going to go to the toilet.
Oh no!
Oh jeez, it's all Apple now.
As Dex was saying, I feel like he's the type of person you kind of need in a team. But with how he's going at the moment, he needs to have a good back half of the season if he wants to be re-signed.
You blokes can still hear me here?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree with Bevo and Degs. Like, I think if he can have a good back half to the season, we'll re-sign him. But if he's not going to be able to jock up performances that are really good, like there's probably no point. And you got guys like in the VFL, you got Satis, you got Menzies, you got Nick Bryan, all these guys waiting for an opportunity. Stringer's taking up a spot, in my opinion, sometimes, but when he has these really good games, he is in that best 22 and he's probably in the top 10 at Essendon. It's just can't be consistent with it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
I'm going to answer the two questions we had. Obviously, where did Essendon finish, and me asking about Alistair Clarkson at North. I believe Essendon going to win their first final in 7,000 days this year, is my claim. And to answer the Clarkson question about when's it going to happen, I found a stat from 2004 when Clarkson first started coaching Hawthorn.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, mate.
Okay, cool.
We could always
Sorry.
hear you.
Yes, we got you.
The Hawthorn Hawks in 2004, when Clarkson first started coaching, only won 4 games. They were tied with wins with Richmond in that year. So, on paper, Clarkson is technically doing worse than North. But you got to think 2012, 2011, 2013, 2014, 2015. What a time that was for the Hawthorn Footy Club. Obviously, that is 10 years from when you start, and that's not a great time period. But I think you got to back him for at least 5 years.
Yep.
We'll keep moving through. We got 2 more games. And speaking of Hawthorn,
I wouldn't take that long.
oh,
Took a fair while. I thought we were going to fly through Essendon and North Melbourne. Probably ended up.
no, we just kept chatting about it.
Yeah. Levi said there's not much to talk about. I reckon we've talked about 15 minutes with the Dons and North.
Content out of the Essendon North game.
But, we'll talk about the Hawthorn here, Hawthorn Hawks, and yikes, they're in trouble this week. They have Port Adelaide at Port Adelaide.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, fresh off a win at GMHBA against Geelong. Probably upset of the year in my opinion. It's hard to go down to GMHBA and beat Geelong, and Port Adelaide, like Ken Hinkley, masterclass coaching. You just saw how McEntee went to Stewart, limited his impact. Port Adelaide moved the ball really fast. They were getting on the scoreboard, and I think it was their highest score against. I think it's the highest score in the first quarter with Chris Scott as coach. So it's a very big. It's a very big fact. And look, I reckon they'll carry their momentum into next week against Hawthorn, who have been all pretty good in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Obviously, they had that poor performance against Sydney, but they've drawn up 2 really good wins against St Kilda and the Dogs. But then again, you don't really look at those 2 teams as finals contenders or up there in the top 10 or so. So I'll say Port Adelaide win this by 43 points.
Yeah.
Look. You go.
Yeah. I'm with
3
Vass here.
times.
Yeah, it's always us as well. Yeah, I'm with Vass here. Hawthorn, they've been playing good for their style of footy. Like they've always been known as one of the bottom teams, and I just feel like they've stepped up a little bit this year. But I've still got Port by about 30 odd. I just think Port are too good to beat, especially at Adelaide Oval as well.
I would like to go next. Yeah, I do not like Hawthorn at all, but I will have to admit they've been playing the worst brand of footy. I feel like the inclusion of 2 small forwards with Ginnivan and Nick Watson has been very healthy for them. Although up against Port, who have form in Port Adelaide with no James Sicily, is going to be very tough. So I see Port Adelaide winning by 32.
Who's next?
I'll jump in. I think stop it, Bev. I think last week against the Cats, I was
Got
like,
about 10 seconds, please.
got about 10.
Right, you can go now.
Man, all right. I think Port Adelaide, like without their captain last week, that was impressive. What stop.
Wait, did we forget Caleb?
What we like? Let the man speak, lads. You gotta let
Wait,
him
did we
speak.
forget? Wait, did we forget Caleb?
Yeah, where's Caleb?
Hey,
He never
we've
answered
said our
messages.
piece. It's now time for Degs to give his opinion. Come
Let
on,
Dex
Thanks,
talk.
Appreciate it, Vass.
come on, mute the mics, boys. Let him speak.
Good call, good call. Well, I just think last week without the captain Rosie, I think a few like boys stepped up. I think I can't even remember one time Geelong could not stop Ollie Wines. Like he just always seems to find a way against the Cats. And Butters, like he kind of speaks for himself a bit. Like he's just a gun. Like just his explosiveness and even Horn Francis, like he kind of turned the game around a bit in the first half. But who are they playing? The Hawks. The Hawks. I don't mind the Hawks. Oh, I don't like the Hawks at all, but they're kind of growing on me a bit. Like putting a few wins together. It's just like it's a good thing to see. It's a good thing to see from the Hawks.
I'm sorry. I know Port will win, but if I'm a Hawk supporter, I'm happy with how the season's going, with all due respect. They lost to Geelong by a goal, to be fair, when Geelong were undefeated. They only lost to Collingwood by a goal, I'm pretty sure as well. How can you hate against that? And I think they won a couple of games. They've won more than last year. Sam Mitchell looked like he's finding his feet with his team. Yes, Port should win by 40 plus. It's just gonna happen, I think. If Hawthorn are good enough to keep it within Jack T, no phones in the call, please.
I'm texting Caleb.
Go on
Okay.
here, Talbot. Come on, mate.
Wow, he's young. He's too young for you, Talbot.
Come on, Talbot. Seriously.
Put your
Okay,
phone on,
let,
please. I'm
let me
about to talk.
speak.
Caleb goes, "Oops, someone should have told me." I'll mute now.
Rough.
Classic kid.
Rough.
To be fair, we did call the group chat.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, what?
3,
Back to
Two.
the Hawks now.
Yeah, I'm not upset if a Hawk supporter. It's good signs. I think if they can keep building, maybe win a couple more games, go on next year with a few draft picks. Unfortunately, I do think Nick Watson, what's the kid doing? I'm sorry to break it to you, but he's missing the world's easiest goal he'll ever get. He could have 5 more goals through his career this year, but he just shanks after shanks. He's like me on a Saturday. Just put it through the big six. Not that hard, mate. And you
Do
play
not
AFL.
remind Hawks fans of that goal straight in front against Geelong that he kicked out in the full. That was
Yeah, that was a bit like
Win.
Levi's on the weekend, actually.
Oh,
He's,
jeez.
win.
he's had a slight angle to it, and it's gone into the car park and hit a windshield.
Oh,
That is
Not the
no
best
good.
performance by Levi, but
Yeah,
he's
good.
kicked 3, so
I was about to say the lad did kick 3.
wait,
Yeah, we'll
could have had
take it, mate.
4.
Could have
Oh,
had
you
5
got on the
actually.
scoreboard as well there, Talbot. Two.
Pardon?
Didn't you get on the scoreboard as well? 2 goals or
Yeah,
something?
you're muted, mate.
You did, mate.
No, I
You
admit him.
are?
It can be fuck listening to his goals. The last game of the round to cap off the Graveyard Sunday with Bombers North, Power Hawks. Yikes, that's a rough Sunday lineup, by the way. Eagles D's.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Being the only D supporter here, I'll start it off.
Yep.
I've personally got D's winning by 35. And that's not only because it's West Coast. I feel like if we
Yeah.
play the same brand of footy that we did when we came back from that 40-point margin and nearly won, I feel like we will be a good side, and I feel like they've got no chance of beating us if we play like that.
Yeah, look, I've got Melbourne by 57, close to 10 goals. Might be a bit of an interesting take considering how West Coast have been actually pretty decent at the moment. I thought they've been really good. 2 good wins against, Richmond and Fremantle. Nearly beat the Bombers. Weren't terrible against Collingwood, I guess you could say. But look, I think Melbourne's just a strong outfit. They play the ground well at Optus Stadium, and look, I'm going to say that West Coast will be competitive, maybe for a quarter or two, but I reckon Melbourne's just too class through the midfield. Petrarca, Oliver, Viney, gone. Then up forward, you got Frisch. Who's the new bloke? Turner. He's starting to
Daniel Turner, yeah. He originally came
Nice.
into the side as a
key defender or something.
key defender, and first game back kicked a couple. So I think he's moved down to the forward line now,
Yeah,
which is
he's
handy
looking
for
good.
us.
He's looking good, and then the back line, Stephen May, Lever, like it's still a very really good team. Like so many people were writing them off. I was one that was writing them off. I saw them as about 10th. And I regret it. Like you look at the list, it's still stacked with talent, and
Yeah, you better
I think
regret
they're
it.
just too good of a team. I reckon they'll get away with it in the end. Interested to hear what Talbot has to say.
Yeah, so
So am
No,
I.
Talbot's got no more input. I'm saying D's by 40.
Yeah, and I'll step in. I think a few weeks ago the Cats D's was a bit of a shock. Like it was the first kind of game all year that the Cats hadn't played it on their terms, and it was the D's, and it just must have been the coaching and everything behind the scenes. It's just like it was so well prepared, so well everything by the D's. Like I just wasn't expecting it, but I think West Coast. I think I've seen so much improvement over the last like you'd say 6 months. I know that was like during summer and all that, but from last year, round 23, the Eagles could have been the worst like team I've ever seen in my whole life. But I think the improvement that I've seen is immense by them. And I think the hype around Harley Reid, I think it's somewhat there. Like I rate him as a footballer. Like I think if you look at him, the consistency isn't really there to start the season. Like, yeah, he took a few big marks, 10 touches or whatever he had against Collingwood, but I think he's an all right. Like, I think he's worth pick one. I think the Kangaroos winning that game in round 23 last year was a big mistake. Like they could have had Harley Reid and just it probably would have been a bit different. Like maybe North Melbourne win a few games with him, but I don't think he's enough to decide a franchise. And I've got the D's by probably 5 goals comfortably.
Yeah,
Harley
well,
Reid is an absolute stud, by the way. That means a jet.
Mm.
as a
What are you doing, mate? Speak. Yeah, an awkward pause.
I'm not
wait,
talking
why'd you
this
mute
long.
yourself?
Stopping for.
I hate you guys. As a West Coast fan, you honestly can't be too mad with how this season's going.
Sorry, I thought you were going to
But-
say you're a West Coast fan, then I was going to like go, what? Sorry.
No. But I still got Melbourne winning by 30.
That's mate, you're right.
Thanks, Jack T. Back to you, Levi.
No,
Thanks,
all good.
mate.
But no, I think if you want to follow our tips, go for it. You'll probably be wrong. I think you'll probably get half these wrong, no doubt, knowing us.
Nah,
But
mate.
yeah,
Not
that
with,
is a-
not with Vass in here. Not with Vass in here.
You're,
Can we-
you're the biggest Vass glazer.
Yeah, it's
can we
Vass.
talk about something, please, before we finish off?
Hey, we're Cedar, mates. Come on.
Can we finish on one thing before we like just call this a night so I can go to bed? Why is it that Sunday games host the worst brand of footy I've ever seen in my life?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Mate.
I feel like
The
Sunday's just like
times-
a lazy day. Like
amount of
no one can
times
be bothered
last
to do
year
anything.
that you saw St Kilda playing in the graveyard 4:40 time slot was actually laughable, in my opinion. Well, I can't with Sunday footy. I swear it produces like the worst games, and there's nothing to look forward to unless your team's playing one of those games that you
Well,
gotta watch.
let's look at this week. You got Essendon North. Essendon are $1.55 favourites. No one cares about that. They should win by 50 plus. Port should beat Hawthorn by 50 odd. I was not well, Nam actually. That's why it's at the end. Melbourne should beat West Coast by 50 odd. We'll have a look. I'm pretty sure last week wasn't that great as well. You got Adelaide Brisbane was the best game. Collingwood played West Coast, and that was the only two Sunday games on. So they played a double head on a Friday for no good reason. The week before was Lions Suns, two of the worst teams in comp with Bulldogs and Hawthorn. And then you had Freo Richmond, another two not great teams. Apart from Freo getting up by 50. Why are Sundays so bad?
Yeah, couldn't tell you. It's just,
Could not tell you, no.
yeah, like Vass said, I feel like you only watch a Sunday game if your team's playing. Like they're always just such a scrappy and boring game, and they're just so slow.
It has to be set up by the AFL because I'm looking at this and there's no actual good Sunday game here apart from round 2 Richmond Sydney, where Richmond won by 5 points. Round 3, sorry. I'm looking at it, there's actually no good Sunday game. I mean, Collingwood Hawks was 5 points, but Collingwood should have won it easily. Like, there's no like the close games aren't with good teams as well.
Mm.
I don't know, that's just my opinion, but I think that will wrap us up. We've actually talked a fair bit of footy tonight, lads. I'm pretty proud of us.
Yeah, we
Been
have.
good, probably about a good hour or so, just getting the tips in.
Mm.
It's been good. So
That will conclude our thoughts. Thank you all for joining us on this Thursday. This will go out, but before the footy starts, if you want to follow our tips, feel free to do so. I don't recommend it. Nevertheless, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you all either for a Sunday review or another Wednesday tip night sort of thing. See ya.
Up the Cats.
the most up the Dons.